Most LinkedIn growth advice in 2025 is complete bullshit. I have under 700 followers on LinkedIn, yet I consistently book 5 to 10 sales calls every single month for myself and my clients. Meanwhile, there are accounts with 50,000 plus followers struggling to even get a single customer from their LinkedIn. I've spent the past 13 months helping over 50 B2B founders book hundreds of calls and drive millions in revenue using LinkedIn as their main client acquisition engine. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact two-step system that turns LinkedIn into a money-making machine in just 1 hour per month. People love to breach all this jargon and all these LinkedIn algorithm hacks, but in reality, I've only seen these two things actually move the needle on LinkedIn and get customers who pay you those 5K to 30K retainers. So if you're tired of spending a bunch of time on your LinkedIn and still getting zero sales, keep watching. So welcome to the #1 LinkedIn client acquisition strategy for 2025. Here are just some screenshots of previous client results. We're booking around 3 to 10 calls per month for our B2B agencies, experts, and consultants. Here are a bunch of DM conversations that also turned into book calls, and I'll get into that in a second. But first, the LinkedIn growth lie that everyone seems to believe. And this all sort of revolves around virality and content and trying to get a bunch of followers, likes, engagements, etc. This is the biggest lie that everyone believes. Everyone seems to think, oh, if I get 1 million views on one of my posts, if I get a bunch of people to comment, I'm going to eventually just start booking tons of calls if I just post content. And that couldn't be further from the truth. This is actually a post I wrote for a client way back, like 6 months ago. It got 1 million impressions, probably at more right now, but it was cool that it was taking off. The algorithm was just sending it into the abyss. We booked 0 calls from this. This is for a B2B SaaS client, and it just goes to show how little followers, likes, vanity metrics actually matter. So leads don't equal likes, engagement does not equal revenue, and algorithm knowledge does not equal client acquisition. You could have all the little fancy tips and tricks and do all the gizmos possible and get a bunch of followers and post super general content, but it's not going to get you leads. And that is why you're on LinkedIn, to get leads, and not to sort of stroke your ego and get a bunch of followers, get a bunch of likes. That, sure, it feels good, but once again, does not actually equate to clients. So now that we have that out of the way, 2 other fatal mistakes I see B2B experts make on LinkedIn. And #1 sort of ties into what I just sort of spoke about. First one is creating content that appeals to everyone. So in this example, Corey, I don't know him personally. This is not a shot at him. He's crushing it. But 16 signs you aren't the problem your customer might be. Like literally any business owner, possible service provider could look at this post and resonate with it. They could like it. They could comment. This applies to everyone, which is cool for getting a ton of engagement and comments and reposts and likes. But the problem is you're not educating someone within your target market on their specific problems. You're just appealing to the mass audiences. So things that get a lot of likes are, generic helpful advice about business or generic motivational quotes from David Goggins, etc. And that's because everyone can relate to those posts. So we want to stay away from broad generality. It can be cool here from time to time, maybe once a week, posting something personal about you that everyone can relate with, and go broad sometimes, get a bunch of followers. But most of the time we want to be super specific with our content. I'll show you a bit what that actually looks like in a second. Second mistake is using outdated outbound methods. So maybe in 2020, 2021, when LinkedIn was even more of a blue ocean than it is right now, these sort of spam messages would have worked. But right now, these are the types of things I'm seeing in my inbox and all my clients are getting in their inboxes that just do not work. Nobody appreciates a DM that is just obvious AI slop. So I'm Shahil, your AI automations insight. They're greatly shaping my view. There's no personalization. I can in an instant tell, he wrote this with ChatGPT, or he's just copy pasting a script into my inbox. So it's I'm not willing to respond to this. I don't care because I simply know there was no thought behind this DM. Yeah, he used my first name, but anyone can do that in an AI automation. So yeah, not impressive at all. And so many B2B founders just think this is going to work. If they just spam these scripts and get a bunch of volume out, that it'll work, and it doesn't. That works on cold email, where you can literally send 10, 20, 30,000 cold emails a day. But on LinkedIn, you only get so many connection requests, about 800 per month. So you have to be hyper specific and hyper targeted with your messaging, making it personal. I'll get into that in a second. In terms of actually having success on LinkedIn, it comes down to, like I said, 2 different things. Trust building content, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second, and strategic outbound that's personalized, makes it abundantly clear that you went through the prospect's profile, their about section, their posts, where they're from, etc. Once you pair these 2 and you're consistent for 30, 60, 90 days, it's guaranteed, if you have decent case studies, that you will get clients. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of can you execute on this. And if you have results, if you have proof of concept, it's a no-brainer. So step one, content that converts, not content that goes viral, as we discussed. So like I said, we want to be super hyper specific, solve one problem for our target audience. So if you're an e-commerce email marketing agency and you serve e-com brands, you want to be solving the problem e-com brands. You want to be speaking to their pain points, showing proof to them and them only. You're going to, sacrifice your reach to all business owners, but who cares? Those aren't the people paying your invoices. The people paying your invoices are e-commerce brands. So weekly content mix, it's 5 posts. Should have, 1 detailed case study demonstrating specific results, 3 strategic or tactical insights that showcase your expertise, methodology. So this could be, 5 tips for writing better LinkedIn content, or how the exact process we use to, write better LinkedIn DMs, etc., etc. And then 1 high value lead magnet each week with a clear call to action. And I'll actually get into lead magnets in more depth a bit later, which these are super valuable if you can nail them. From there, like I said, laser focused targeting, speaking exclusively to one ICP. And then lastly, strategic positioning. It positions you as a specialist, not a generalist. You want to demonstrate a deep understanding of exactly the challenges that your client is going through, like I said. So also using industry specific language in your content that resonates with their decision makers. Strategic DMs, honestly, both of these parts are extremely important to booking calls on LinkedIn, but this is what's going to actualize it. You can post content forever. You can 5-7 posts every week for years and literally never book a call. This is sort of just a prerequisite for this. The posts essentially show the people you're DMing that you have competence. So that way, when you DM someone, they land on your profile, they see, oh, okay, he has XYZ case study. He's doing this. He's talking about this in the industry. And he sent me a super personalized DM that I really appreciate. I'm going to respond. I'm going to have a conversation. And I'm going to go over this framework right now for sending good DMs. But this is where the calls are booked. And so many business owners just completely ignore it. And they just think content alone will do it. It's not going to. Okay, so now on to the actual framework of the DMs. I added this example of a DM I sent that actually booked a call real quick, just so we can go through it step by step. But first step, initial connection, super simple. Hey, Greg, notice you've been scaling XYZ company. Hey, Greg, very neat what you've done with VC. VC is an abbreviation for his company. From there, you can insert a restrained compliment. So if they have, let's say, a case study, they have, something interesting they've done in their career. Say, oh, saw you, scale that e-commerce gummy brand by 3 times. Impressive. Or solid work with XYZ company in 2011. Nice. The thing with a restrained compliment is you don't want to be one of those guys that are like, I love what you did with the gummy bear brand. That was awesome. You're so cool. Like, that is giving off way too much. I haven't been here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very new to business. You want to act like you've done it before. You want to act like you've, scaled company, like you've been in business for a while. Even if you haven't, you don't want to come across as a newbie. And saying, oh, I love what you did, not being restrained with your compliment is a serious, mistake a lot of people make in terms of outbound. So super restrained compliment, very neat what you've done with VC. I sort of tied that in here because he didn't have any case studies. And then a business observation. So this is where we kind of tie in an ambiguous question that can sort of push the conversation forward in terms, booking a call, because we don't want to all make this personal. Then the process can be like, all right, why are we even doing this? We want to make sure this conversation can turn into a book call, like I said. So with Greg here, I said, on your LinkedIn profile right now, by the way, are you getting through these taxi companies on here? So he does some sort of AI taxi automation. So he serves taxi companies. And here, as you can see, this is not a salesy question. It doesn't come across as me trying to pitch him immediately. I say, I'm on your LinkedIn profile right now, by the way. I'm giving myself an excuse, a spontaneous excuse. Hey, I'm actually on your profile right now. Are you even getting to your clients? Like, on here, are they coming to you inbound with these posts? Like, this is just a super subtle, ambiguous observation that doesn't come across as, oh, I'm trying to sell you services. Like, it's just a genuine question, and I'm giving him an excuse. I'm on your profile right now. So business observation. And then lastly, this is the most important part of the DM, is a personal connection. So you went to UV, this is Vermont, I think. I had a chance to stay in Vermont. I spelled it wrong. A lot of spelling errors here, I didn't even notice, which is completely fine. And this ties into the being human. A lot of these errors, they come across as human. They come across as, I didn't copy and paste this. So despite the errors, a lot of people actually still appreciate that. So not a huge deal if you make errors. You went to UV, I had the chance to stay in Vermont back in 21 at a Dartmouth camp, probably the most gorgeous state in the country that leaves See how super specific and personal I'm getting here? This is the most important part of the DM, and it's actually, if you send it last, it'll be the first thing they see in their inbox, making them more likely to open it. They'll see, oh, he's talking about Vermont. I literally went there. Let's see what this guy obviously went through my profile. He made it abundantly clear that he went through where I live, where I went to college, etc. I'm gonna respond to him. So this is the most important part of the DM. And this will get you a bunch of opens, a bunch of responses. Here's some other examples that sort of follow the framework, ended in book calls. But yeah, this is super, super important to nail. Lastly, in terms of strategy, a secret weapon, I like to call it, strategic lead magnets. Here's an example. One of these went completely viral for my client, 286,000 impressions. This is him in Slack. He got a bunch of invitations. So grew his following quite a bit, booked a few calls for his offer. But essentially what we're doing here is we're creating a high value asset. So it could be a swipe file, a calculator, an audit framework, a training, a breakdown, etc. This was actually a GPT. So yeah, you could do a lot of things here. The key here, it has to be valuable to your ICP. My rule of thumb is it should be at least worth $100 a month. Once again, we're posting with a clear CTA, drop a fire in the comments, connect with me, etc. And then from there, this sort of creates a flywheel with the LinkedIn algorithm. And that's the reason these go viral, is because one person comments, then another person comments. The more comments LinkedIn sees, the more it's going to push out to other people. The more people that then comment, it's going to push it out more. So it's an endless flywheel of virality. And then with the hope of getting people within your ICP to like and comment, because once again, this resource is going to be hyper specific and valuable to your client. And then yeah, once you get a bunch of people questing it, you want to send all of them a DM, obviously with the resource as promised, and then also a qualifying question. This is where a lot of people leave a bunch of leads on the table. They don't ask a question, because once again, a lot of these people will be in your ICP. You want to ask them, by the way, I'm doing a quick poll on everyone who requested this. How are you getting clients on LinkedIn right now? Or are you booking any calls on LinkedIn? How much are you spending on ads right now, etc. And a lot of people will be willing to answer because you lowered their sales guard with a free asset up front, clearly, and it was valuable. It was worth $100. They wanted it, etc. So this works really well as a secret weapon to go viral, get a bunch of leads inside your inbox. And then yeah, just to kind of recap, these are just the common mistakes that kill your results on LinkedIn. Not targeting the right audience, weak back-end processes in terms of DMs, low value lead magnets. Lead magnets won't work if they're low value, inconsistent posting, generic messaging, etc. Pretty much everything we just went over in this video. The metrics that do actually matter, make sure you're hitting 800 monthly connection requests. That way you have people to DM when you do go ahead and sort out those DMs, and you can target super specifically on Sales Navigator, which could be a whole separate video. From there, you want to send 10 to 20 daily personalized DMs, depending on how many people accept your blank connection requests. You want to be posting 5 times a week with those strategic posts that I mentioned to position yourself as someone who knows what they're talking about, for people who land on your profile to then read, oh, case study here, expertise here, opinions here, this guy's respectable. And then lastly, one weekly lead magnet is good. Not necessary, but definitely good to have. So why this works so well in B2B especially is because the B2B sales cycles, they are all based off of trust. And this, LinkedIn acquisition framework is solely built on building an immense amount of trust with your prospects. Like I said, the content builds trust in terms of positioning yourself up here as an authority who knows what they're talking about, who knows how to get results, etc. And then the DMs also build trust, especially in an era of AI where everyone is spamming scripts. It generates a certain amount of trust that can't be replicated with a robot. They're saying, hey, he took the time to really send me a nice DM that's super personalized, and I like that approach. I'm gonna have a talk with him. That sort of dual angled trust, however you want to call it, works really, really well on LinkedIn. And what I typically see, if you do this for 90 days straight with no sort of pauses and you're super consistent, you get a 35 to 60% DM response rate. There's no reason you can't be booking 5 to 15 sales calls per month on LinkedIn. Should take you about an hour per day. So there you have it. That's the exact 2-step system we're using. You could implement this yourself, but here's the reality. You're already running a business and you don't have time to write 5 posts a week, manage your DM conversations, and track all social signals. It's a lot of work. And that's exactly why I built RIP. We handle the entire LinkedIn system for you, ghostwriting content, sending personalized DMs, managing leads, etc., etc. All you have to do is show up to the sales calls when we present them to you. If you want 5 to 15 qualified sales calls per month, which is 1 hour of your time guaranteed in 90 days, where we work for free, click the link below to book a call. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.